Today pulled out something really interesting. Look at this, South Africa's old submarine.
You can see, if you look there at the mounting blocks, you can see the blue beams go up through a hole there. It's because this is a double-skinned submarine. I think most submarines are double-skinned. So the outer skin wasn't to stop the water, it was just to protect them in the case of an impact or a torpedo strike. So you'd have the outer skin, water would be on the inside of the outer skin, and then on the inside you'd have the pressure hull, which was the thick steel hull that kept the water out of the cruise compartment. This is a cross-section of the pressure hull. This is toward the back of the submarine, so you can see the holes where the shafts for the propellers would go through here to the propeller, which would be outside the pressure hull. But basically this is what kept the water out and the sailors inside nice and dry. But you can see how strong it is because it's very thick. That must be almost 3 centimeters thick. And then it has these ribs really close together to give it tremendous strength. So the submarine was well known because it could dive a lot deeper than most of its contemporaries. It could handle very high water pressure. Over here you can see the double skin nicely. Here, Brendan. So here you can see the double skin nicely. So that's the outer skin to protect the submarine, and that inner wall there will be the pressure hull. So water would be outside, water would be in here, but then on the other side of that steel there was the pressurized hull where the crew lived. So this particular design of submarine was commercially very successful for France. The French Navy used it, but they also sold it to the South African Navy, and they sold it to the Pakistani Navy. In fact, this kind of submarine, this class of submarine, was the first submarine after World War II to successfully sink an enemy ship. There was a war between Pakistan and India, and a Pakistani Daphne Class submarine went out, found an Indian Navy ship and sank it. This big bulb here is sonar. So inside here was a sonar that would send out the famous ping to look for submarines. So this was a hunter-killer submarine. So it wasn't, it could find and sink ships, but it was also designed and equipped to hunt and kill other submarines.
And that's the sonar?
That's a sonar that can look underwater. So it would send out an electronic ping that would then bounce back from other submarines, and then from that they could determine where the submarine was, how far away it was. So these 4 doors that you see here, these are the doors that open up for the torpedoes to come out. There's 4 on the one side, the port side, and 4 on the starboard side. So it had 8 forward-firing torpedoes. The interesting thing about the submarine was the torpedoes had to be loaded onto the submarine in the harbour. They couldn't reload the tubes at sea. But they had set sail with a total of 12 torpedoes. So if they had a really good crew and a really good captain, technically they could sink as many as 12 ships in one mission. And this is quite a nice shot. It looks more like an aeroplane than a submarine.
You're right, it does look more like an aeroplane if you come to the back of it, or like a big fish.
Yeah.
Which is what it is in a way.
So this is one of the very first submarines powered by a steam engine. You can see how quaint the propellers were. I think the top bit maybe stuck out of the water, I'm not sure. But basically this was when people first started thinking of building submarines.
It's like a barrel.
Yeah, it does. Well, it was most likely made by the local barrel makers in the town, got commissioned to make an extra large barrel into which they put all this machinery.
Fantastic.
Simonstown in the Western Cape is the only place in Africa where the public can come and tour a retired naval submarine. Here you can see the 8 torpedo tubes right in the front of the submarine. These submarines had a crew of 47, but only enough bunk beds to sleep 2/3 of that number. So they would work in shifts of 6 hours on, 12 hours off. This arrangement was known as hot bunking because when you came off your shift and went to bed, the mattress would be nice and warm. You'd get to use your own sleeping bag, but the mattress would be nice and warm from the previous occupant. The officers had slightly nicer cabins. You can see there's a bit of woodwork here, but otherwise just as tiny. This is the central control room. where the captain sat at the periscope and his team around him operated all the equipment, surveillance, sonar, radar. And here we have the famous periscope. 2 hatches, fore and aft, and this was the way that the crew got in and out of the boat. And here you see the controls that steered the ship. They had 2 helmsmen that operated these handles here to go up and down and left and right. Surfacing and submerging were controlled by air in the ballast tanks, and here you see some of the controls for emptying the ballast tanks to dive. And this is the tiny little kitchen where one chef had to keep 47 hungry young men satisfied. And you had to share one toilet with 46 other men. The submarine was a diesel electric, so when on the surface it ran on diesel engines, and submerged it had electric engines to turn the propellers.
I got to say, when you've got to come and see it to believe it, because I think it's more the presence, the huge, I mean the video can't even tell you the huge presence of the submarine. You really must come and look at this, experience this.